In Indian Institute of Science, our students are our guides in real sense. IISc is what it is today we have had because wonderful students like Dr. Prahalada and Prof. Colonel Shankar passed out from the portals of this great institution, and it is they who actually teach us, and we continue to learn from our students forever. Go to the next one. I think people did talk about the role of Mysore Maharaja in the beginning, but having come from a Mysore district, I want to draw your attention to the name of this wonderful lady, if you have not heard, Maharani Kemparajamani Vani Vilas Sanidhana. She was the mother of Nalvadi Krishraj Vodayar. When IISc came into being, Nalvadi Krishraj Vodayar was only 9 years old. The entire decision making is actually made by this great noble queen. You will be surprised to know that it is this queen who actually built the India's first Urdu primary school in 1920 for the girls, inspired by few girls who were actually playing around the Tanga station in Mysore. She was a remarkable lady. But I want to cut this long story short. I am sure most of you would have heard. I was actually fortunate to pick up the original letter written by J.N. Tata to Swami Vivekananda. And go to the next slide, please. There was one very interesting thing. If you have not read this letter, I would urge you to read. And Prabuddha Bharata carried a wonderful article on this, where it appears J.N. Tata was asked by Swami Vivekananda, what brings you on this journey? Swamiji seems to have said, I am actually going to the Western world to get steel making technology. I want you to watch these words. Swamiji, that great monk, seems to have remarked, Westerners may give you technology, but who will teach you material science? Probably that inspired, in fact, J.N. Tata writes, you would recall our own association, and he comes back, probably thinks about starting an institution where ancient aesthetics merges seamlessly with modern science. IISc is a very special place, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, go to the previous slide. I also showed the photograph of Mysore sandal soap there. The soap making formula for Mysore sandal soap was actually the chemistry department from IISc. Patent was sold for something like 7 rupees and 30 annas in 1930s. Innovations have happened all through the generations. Probably this is one place which believes Achar, Vichar, Prachar and Sanskar could be 25%, so that we don't really do anything over-amplified. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. I think this question has been asked to me in several forums. In fact, about 8 months back when there was a panel discussion, there was a lot of heated debate where they said Army is doing that, DRDL is not doing, DRDO is not doing that. I, as a small academician sitting there, I said, you will know the worth of DRDO or Indian Armed Forces only when there is a war. People felt, why are you saying this as a peace-loving academic? I said, how else will you validate the technology and how else will you validate the wonderful work the armed forces will do only when there is a threat? In fact, this entire success of Operation Sindoor to me is actually to those great scientists of defense scientists as well as the armed forces. You have the best technology, but then somebody should use it at the right time. In that sense, probably this is the first occasion after independence where everything has fallen in place. To me, science is almost like asking a question, why? It is like Brahmadeva. Brahmadeva is Srishtikarta. Unfortunately, nobody recognizes science. There are hardly 2 temples for Brahma in this great nation, Bharat, because science is invisible. Science cannot be felt by the society. In science, you ask the question, why, and go and find answers to that. But then in engineering, you ask a question, why not? Engineering to me is more like Narayana. You have all kinds of avatar, including the Dashavatar to Swiggy and Zomato avatars. And then, of course, in technology is more like Shiva, where you don't ask any question. Because the day a technology is born, it is bound to die. Occasionally, Shiva also opens the third eye. Enemy would be destroyed, as it happened in recent times. But friends, we must remember that in this wonderful game, you can click the next one, we are also in a very interesting period in the history where Industry 5.0 is sweeping through the entire world. We also need Ma Sharada for information where data is becoming important. We also need Krishna. When Ma Yashoda asked him to open the mouth, probably you saw all the 7 worlds. Data contains so much today. Go to the next one. We are only talking about mass personalization today from mass production. This is a very, very tectonic shift in industrialization, where every soldier would like to have some unique weapons when he wants to guard the nation. Everybody wants to have a mobile phone which is unique to him. People are actually becoming self-centered because of several disruptive technology this world is seeing, probably that it has not seen in the last 300 years. Go to the next one. Of course, click this one. There are several technologies. I will not get into the detail. Go to the next one. I believe future war is going to hinge on only three aspects. What is the kind of resources you have, what information you have, and what kind of knowledge you have. This is universal. And this is why I say this is very closely linked to the human existence. How is your dehasthiti, how is your manosthiti, how is your atmasthiti will dictate the paristhiti. It is very essential for us to really understand how society can basically shape up this wonderful synergy between mind, body, and soul, how technology, science, and engineering can actually shape the future. Go to the next one, please. I'll just spend 2 minutes on hypersonics because this is one, yes, I could get that. I have a mobile phone, don't worry. I'm going at hypersonic speed. You talked about BrahMos, which was Mach 2, which is about close to 1,000 kilometers per hour or 2,000 kilometers, but whereas here, we are talking about speeds which is 2 kilometers per second. 6,000 kilometers per hour, notwithstanding the Bangalore traffic which goes at 10 meters or 2 kilometers per hour. So these kind of weapons are today a reality. It's no longer a fiction because everybody is trying to build them. China, in fact, has a weapon which is already in their armory. In fact, for the first time, American Pentagon in the congressional briefing have agreed that the Chinese hypersonic glide missile traveled 44,000 kilometers around the world, was in the air for about 100 plus minutes. Nobody was able to even identify. No radar can detect this. It is high time that people look at hypersonics very seriously. Go to the next one. And in fact, a lot of investment has happened in this area in the last few years. In fact, so much so it's not about military. People are looking at even cargo transfer using hypersonic today. They all want to go anywhere in the world in 1.5 hours. That's the dream, where the speeds are going to become very critical. There are several engines. There are a lot of research that goes on here. I won't go into the detail. This is a view of our lab, but I'll just spend a minute on this because there are few people in the audience who have actually shaped what this lab is all about. In fact, several years ago when we started this lab, we were only 2 people. Initial investment was made from our own PF money. And I still remember in '95 when Dr. Kalam came to this lab, he in fact asked, show me a shock wave in a shock tunnel. Only then we will believe you can do such experiments in the laboratory for 1 millisecond. Of course, it took several decades of service. In fact, Dr. Prahlada might recall, 2003, he gave a project here for 1 crore, which was a big amount in those days. We ended up building that facility, and today it is actually contributing in a big way. Professor Raghunandan is in the audience. Dr. Kalam gave a check for 5 crores to our Associate Director, Professor Balakrishnan and Shivtanu Pillai. They all coordinated to start a Center of Excellence here, where IISc had not even put up a proposal. Visionary leaders have actually contributed over the nation for many of these facilities. Go to the next one. Center of Excellence is trying to do several fundamental work on basic science, engineering, and technology. India is not far off from realizing this. Go to the next one. There are several subsystems. I will not get into the science, but then science is very important. Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, without science there can be no building. It is the invisible foundation which actually builds technology. While army and everybody wants technology very fast, there is no 2 minutes Maggie that is available. Nothing will be available to you if you don't really spend the time on all of this. And there is one direction where, go to the next one. You could go to the next. This is that facility, sir, what was funded about 22 years ago. Today, this is one of the workhorses for doing several things. Go to the next one. Of course, you can click the movie. There are several subsystems here. I am just showing you a glimpse to say how science done in academic institution is going to be the fulcrum on which technologies can be built by this great nation, Bharat. And I urge we should do this in silence, because silence is golden. Whenever something happens, it is for the armed forces and the decision makers to guard the nation. Go to the next one. It's okay, you can leave it. Go to the next one. What happened? Okay, anyway, I want you to share just 2 minutes. I'll take on one more slide and then close here. You can just click on that. While we talk about technology, one of the biggest problems that we really have, go to the next one. Next one. Click that way, yes. You can click that first movie. This is to show that this scramjet engine work, where today we are in a position to see what is happening inside the engine. You can go to the next one. Forget the movie. If you're not able to play, go to the next one. Next. Yeah, just keep it here. I urge all the people who are in the decision making, India can make progress only when we work together. I think there is a strong need for a national directorate on hypersonics where armed forces can take the lead. This is a model, and US has invested close to $18 billion in the last 3 years. All of us have to come together from day one, scientists, industrialists, startups, academicians, maybe policymakers, with a single-minded effort. Maybe Bharat could be much better. Go to the next one. I just want to share with you this one slide where I believe what Operation Sindoor has taught us is we are very strongly merged in our own Vedanta. I am a big fan of Vedanta because Vedanta teaches you sadhana seva sangha samyama samskara. I think what each one of us have done in this country is this is what one has to do. Probably nation can actually go places. Go to the next one. In fact, I am very fond of this particular quotation what Ranganatha Nandaji used to tell. We have talked about dharma, we have talked about religion, but to me the biggest USP of India or Bharat is spirituality. Science is a journey outward which understands the nature. Spirituality is a journey inward where you understand yourself. And a wonderful definition that Ranganathananji used to say is, when you keep your eyes open, please think about what you can do for the world. When you close your eyes, you must be at peace with yourself. This is what Vedanta teaches us. If we can build a society like that, probably it would be much better. We are building some more, tools today where frostbite for the soldiers could be solved using shock waves, while hypersonic continues to, drive us. There are some very interesting innovation where you can make the life of armed forces much better. I'll just like to end here by saying, it appears once a student went and asked a Guruji, I want to learn Bhagavad Gita. And Guruji said it is 18 adhyay. Then he said, I am in a fast world, I cannot recite 18 adhyay. Please give me some short version because everybody wants shortened form today. Then he said, okay, can you learn one adhyay? He said, no, one adhyay also has got so many shlokas I cannot do. Then he said, can you at least learn one shloka? Then the student said, no, one shloka also has got 2 lines. It is very difficult. Then the Guruji said, can you at least learn half a shloka? The entire Bhagavad Gita essence will be yours. The first shloka in Bhagavad Gita is, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kivak Kurvatu Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra asks actually what is happening in Dharmakshetre. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre, you just change. Kshetre Kshetre Dharmam Kuru. Please do justice to the profession that you have taken. Students' job is to study very well and come up very well. Scientist's job is to do research. Everybody has done their job very well. That is why Bharat is great. Thank you very much for the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen.